Hey everyone, it's David Brzezowski with Talent Smart EQ with this week's installment of EQ How To. Be yourself, everyone else is taken. That is a famous quote from Oscar Wilde, and I love it because it sounds so simple and it is so powerful, yet living with authenticity can truly be a challenge. Let's face it, there are two key requirements if you're going to do so. Number one is that you have got to own your words and actions. And number two, I find even more importantly, is that those words and actions must align with your values, your beliefs, and your needs. What makes it even more difficult to truly live with authenticity is all the pressures that are out there for us to sometimes be somebody that we're not. And that's why we find sometimes people leading an inauthentic life. Three very high-powered universities, Harvard, Columbia, and Northwestern, pulled together to measure authenticity scientifically. And here's what they found. I'm going to make sure I read this so I get it correct. They learned that those who do not behave authentically experience a heightened state of discomfort that is usually associated with immorality. People who were not true to themselves were very distraught and felt a strong desire to cleanse themselves physically. That's pretty heavy. It makes sense because our brains know when we're lying, and they especially know when we're lying to ourselves. So what I take from all of this is that being inauthentic causes us more harm than not. So then, how do we live with more authenticity? So there's studies that are out there about those people who are truly authentic. They actually shows a couple things, that they are deeply in tune with who they are and who they want to be in life. And also, they have some pretty discernible habits that we could all take a lesson from. So I have for you 6 EQ how-to tips for living with more authenticity. And the first one is that authentic people express their true feelings and opinions even when it's not popular. Now, I don't mean that they're rude about it, but they don't live that I'm going to get along or I'm not going to go along just to get along. That makes sense, right? They prefer not to lie to other people, and most especially not to themselves. So they are willing to live with repercussions when they express those opinions. Tip number 2 is that they are confident and internally motivated. So authentic people don't like to hide anything. They are who they are. They do not give a facade. So they are willing to let people know them from the beginning, as opposed to people having to find who they are. And the internally motivated people, think about this from the standpoint of at work, they're not waiting for their boss to help them decide how their job is worthwhile. They are the ones who figure that out. Tip number 3 is that they let go of the negative people, which sounds like a difficult thing, but here's the thing. Truly authentic people have too much self-respect to allow others to bring negativity to them. So not out of anger, but out of necessity, they are willing to let go of negative people. Tip number 4, they make the best out of any situation. Authentic people have a firm grasp on reality, and people that are like that. And if there is nothing that they can really do to change the situation, they figure out a way to make do the best that they can. Tip number 5 is that they don't get upset when someone doesn't like them. Authentic people know that others are going to be authentic as well. So they are good with other people just not liking them for who they are. They let it go and they move on. And then tip number 6, they help others be their true authentic selves. Authentic people don't expect others to put on a role, just like they don't want others to expect them to put on a role. Those are my 6 EQ how-to tips for living with more authenticity. It is a journey, so allow yourself to take it step by step. And before I sign off, I do want to remind everybody that we have one last in-person Train the Trainer coming up for our Level 1 and Level 2 Mastering Emotional Intelligence programs. Go to our site and you will go into the events section to get that information. We're going to be in San Francisco at the beginning of December. We hope to see you there. And if not, I hope to see you back here living with more authenticity. Thanks for joining me.